Is Dwight Freeney a Hall of Famer?
100%.
I was like, oh, it's a little baby Texan.
If you just take the numbers that he had against the Houston Texans Hall of Famer, you could eliminate every other game he ever played.
Just the numbers he put up on DC are enough to be in the Hall of Fame. Look at us and try to guess whether or not our heater's busted.
Yeah. Do I look cold right now?
If you had to hit the over-under on whether or not inside this studio it is currently, let's put the line at like 55 degrees.
Tonight it's gonna get close. It's gonna get close.
The unders right now. It'd be cold.
I am cold. It's episode 60, everybody.
That's more degrees than there are here.
That's true. It is. Yeah. It is not 60 degrees in here, I'll tell you that.
No, it's definitely not.
Episode 60, the Horse Sports Podcast. I'm Austin.
I'm Noah.
That's David Carr, and that is our little elf on the shelf, Bilbo. He decided to come watch probably the last podcast in the studio.
Yeah, and I mean, he came with the name. He said his name was Bilbo, because
Yeah.
Otherwise I would have argued against it and been like, Bilbo's a hobbit.
Yeah, but
elf.
you're not an
Legolas.
elf. Whoever named him Bilbo is an idiot.
Well, I think it's his parents. Does
mom-
Santa make the elves, or do they?
No, it's not
I
his
don't know.
kids. He hires them.
Oh, are they paid?
I hope so. It's
think
weird. It's weird that only he gets to hire them though. Like, why aren't they just elves working in like day-to-day life? Why don't I go to McDonald's and see an elf?
What makes you think that they're not?
There's like 8 of them.
You don't see the North Pole elves, so what makes you think that there aren't other elves laboring to bring you
That's true.
Wingstop, and they're in the kitchen making the wings?
Sometimes I see a dude with a small face. I'm like, are you 8 elves stacked upon each other right now? So let's start with the Raiders. The most wild play. Let me. That is the most wild play. I saw the Deshaun Jackson play happen, and that wasn't as weird or idiotic as what I saw yesterday. That was the most insane play ever.
Yeah.
From start to finish. Let's talk. We can talk about it. I think the weirdest part about it isn't the throw, isn't anything like that. It's that Chandler Jones missed the tackle to get the guy down that would have taken it to overtime, and then he ended up catching it.
Yeah, he's
back.
the one that missed the tackle.
Yeah, he totally slipped off the guy, missed it, made the catch, stiffied Mac Jones, touchdown.
Well, everybody's saying, or a lot of people are criticizing the Patriots, saying like, why would you even try this?
Yeah,
like just go to overtime. You weren't losing. I think potentially you could trace it back to the Miami Miracle. Because that's how they lost a game.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, does this work? They wanted to reverse like what Miami did to them in 2018. They're like, okay, remember what they did to us in Miami? Let's try that.
Well, hey, hand to God, I thought it was going to happen.
No,
when he got yards and then they passed him away, I was like, they're going to score.
No, I think it took about 2 or 3 missed tackles before I was like, we lost.
Yeah. When he started to make the turn back, I was like, and here we go.
Because he made it all the way to like the Raiders 30, 35.
Oh yeah, they crossed.
They were deep in Raiders territory,
and you could tell because you could like Derek, like they were filming Derek. You could tell Derek probably thought the same thing, but he was watching it. He looked nervous too. He's like, "Oh, come on, please." But it is just so. It is very interesting because everyone's saying like, why not just go down or why not step out of bounds? He said he knew the score. Do you think at that time he knew the score and that was tied up?
Yeah. No, I saw I think that was a stupid question.
When people
saw the reporter was like, it was actually tied. Did you know that? I'm like, yeah. You think the man didn't, like, there was 3 seconds on the clock going into the play. You think he didn't know whether it was tied or not?
Yeah, well, some people were like, maybe why did I forget his real name? Henny God. It's a Henny God situation.
J.R. Smith?
Yeah.
Not knowing how much.
Yeah, how much time's left.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's.
I think he knew.
I have to believe he didn't just panic and forget that they weren't losing.
No,
I think he just wanted to make a play.
I think he did just want to make a play. The play probably wasn't. It wasn't the move to throw it back to Mac. I don't know if that's the guy you want.
The guy on your team that's like probably can't catch, dude.
Yeah, and can't run that fast. Like we saw Max Crosby catch up to him when if it was any other quarterback on that one play, it would have been a touchdown. It was insane. I love it. It was a great ending to a game.
I also think I've seen some people say like criticizing Mac, saying like, how could you not tackle him? I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, I'd like to think that like a quarterback could make a shoelace tackle or like trip him up, but I don't like when you have Chandler Jones hauling at you and you're Mac Jones. I don't think
dude,
that's where you put the blame.
Imagine where you put his scenario. He's like, why am I getting the ball right now?
Yeah, that's what we're saying is he handed it off up the middle. Yeah. That's how that play started. There's no world in which Mac Jones thought, no, I'm handing it off up the middle. This play might end with me getting stiff armed by Chandler Jones. That's not a thought going.
Even to me, I think it was a miracle that Mac was anywhere near there, because I probably would have started walking off the field. Like, they don't need me. Like, he's gonna run it, then we're gonna be good. And it was not even close to, like, when he threw it back to Mac, wasn't even close to being accurate. That wasn't a 50-50 ball. That was directly plopped in Chandler, and then Mac had like 1 second to decide what's gonna happen. I do think, though, I miss the old thing, like naming games, like people like the Minneapolis Miracle and stuff. I wish it happened more. Do you have any thoughts on what this one should be named? Because I feel like this one is so wild, it deserves a name. I think the toss might be good. The toss might be a good one.
I don't know. I mean,
the stiff arm.
I've seen the Sin City stiff arm because people always want to go for the alliteration with like Miami Miracle, Minneapolis Miracle.
Sin City stiff arm's a great one. That's really good. I hope you came up with that trademark. Hurry. Oh no, but I don't think it's Mac's fault at all. I don't know why people are being like, Mac, you got to make the tackle.
No, I think it's I think with a play that crazy, it's everyone.
Is that wrong place, wrong time?
No, I think it's just, I don't know. I think it's obviously the Patriots messed up. But Chandler Jones also made a great heads up play, and that when it came down to like catching it, but then also with no time on the clock, it's like legitimately, if I get past Mac Jones, we win the game. If I don't, we go to overtime. Like, it's as simple as that.
And that adrenaline's probably insane. At that moment, you're like, okay, here we go. Just me and Mac. I saw a cool stat that said the last time an NFL team won on the last play, tied up, like about to go into overtime, it was the Raiders, and it was the Holy Roller. That's the last time a team won 0 seconds left on a fumble recovery like that.
Oh, on a fumble. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't catch there was a fumble recovery.
Oh, no, fumble recovery.
You said just the last time they won. I was like, that was a long time ago.
Yeah. But it was the Holy Roller, also the Raiders. So it's pretty cool that it makes sense too. I saw people saying that the Raiders deserve this one, especially with the touchdown catch in the corner. They're like the officiating team, like, we're like, okay, we'll finally give one in the Raiders' direction.
Yeah, I think that
I'm gonna be real. I didn't think I don't think they had enough to overturn it, but I was ready for them to.
Yeah, and I think the referees, whether you think it's a catch or it wasn't a catch, I think the referees did the right thing. In my opinion, that's something that, based on what I could see, is like in real time, I think you call that a touchdown.
Yeah.
And then you go back and review it, and I think whether, like, I don't think there was anything there that you can argue really was enough to overturn it.
Yeah, I think there was not enough evidence to overturn it.
And I think it's hilarious that everyone saw the photographer right there, and we're like, okay, once we get this photo after the game, we're going to know for sure whether they made the right call or not. And then they say, here's the photo. And then there's people saying, this is why it proves it was a touchdown. And there's people saying, this is why it proves it wasn't a touchdown.
I think the fight even got more angry because everyone's like, I do not see it now.
Yeah, because you literally, like, that play was as close as it could be to where you have a photo of that exact moment and still people disagree about it.
And he's wearing the perfect shoes for that catch, by the way.
Yeah.
The white and the black.
The black shoe right on that part with the end with a white sole underneath. So it's like kind of hard to tell.
Yeah.
Any other shoe, I think we would know for sure.
If it was like bright orange, it's over.
But he was in the perfect spot to make it as difficult to tell as possible with the perfect shoes to make it as difficult as possible.
I don't even think it was a game of an inch. I think it was less than an inch difference.
Oh, yeah. No, an inch would be very easy to tell.
Yeah, for sure. It was great throw by Derek, great catch by Cole, and hey, it is what it is. We got one our way. I saw somebody who we don't have to name did point out maybe if we were Fleck or if we were Sunday night, the pylon cam might have changed the game a little
right, because this game was originally supposed to be Sunday night, and if it was a Sunday night primetime game, they probably would have had a pylon cam. But I don't think that, I don't know, based on the photo, I don't know if a pylon cam could have.
I don't know. I think it would have been close. It would have been the same thing.
I think it might just be like it was that close that there's no angle that could ever overturn it. Like there's no, and if it was called out and then they would have had to go without. Like, I just don't think you can.
I saw our boy Valley Sports Media was like, if the Patriots caught it, would you feel the same way? Well, they didn't catch it, did it? Did they? The Raiders caught it as a touchdown, so it is what it is. Now let's go into the World Series. Unless you have any more thoughts on the Raider game, which was terrified me a little bit because we were cooking the first half again. They started to come back. I was like, no, please, not another one. I'm not ready. There was a quote from Derek.
What happens when you take your foot off the gas?
That's what. Yeah, exactly. There is a quote from Derek though after the game. Playing against Bill Belichick makes me tired.
Makes him tired?
Yeah, it makes him tired. Whatever that means.
I think just playing an NFL game make you tired.
Oh yeah. I'd assume so. All right, so now let's go into it. Let's talk about Argentina winning the World Cup. Like I said, Messi solidifying himself as the GOAT of soccer, football, wherever you're from. And Mbappe scoring a hat trick, proving at the age of 23 he's probably going to be like the next GOAT after him. It was people saying, like, I'm not afraid to admit it. I didn't watch soccer that much like growing up or even now. Like I started to get into it, but people saying like this is like the best like soccer game. If you're new to soccer, this is the best game you could watch, and this is probably the best finals game. And I believe that game was wild.
Yeah. I mean, and you know the save from that clutch save from Argentina's goalie was insane.
Yeah,
Probably one of the best soccer plays ever. Or I saw someone called it one of the best soccer plays ever, and then someone else was like, "Don't call it a play. It's not a play." I was like, I don't know what you call it.
Sorry, dude. We're American.
It's like you made a play.
It was the best saves.
But then saying it's the best save after that degrades.
Yeah, but I think
that's putting it in.
Yeah,
in
I think it
box.
was like
I think it's one of the best sports plays.
Yeah, and even the announcer during it, he was like, "Remember that save. Remember that save." Like that was one of the biggest moments.
Yeah, I think for me the two biggest takeaways from the World Cup, from the World Cup final in particular, is one, Messi being the GOAT. The other one being that Mbappe, you could very easily, like Mbappe, you can very easily see that it's possible that he's going to one day be in GOAT discussion.
Oh, yeah.
Like, basically, like Mbappe at 23 years old to be doing what he's doing and has done what he's done.
Yeah.
It's not unrealistic at all to think that towards the end of his career, he'll be in that GOAT discussion of like, is he better than Messi?
And what's wild,
obviously right now you can't say that.
Yeah, you can't say right now. But also, he already has a World Cup victory. They won the last one, France. So he's like already now at 23. He's doing all this, and they're gonna be back.
Well, and then this one, like when you think about his legacy, it's like he didn't get a second World Cup, but he got a hat trick.
In the World Cup final,
like
against
arguably
Messi.
that's a better. That's better than win. It's not bad. I don't mean that it's better than winning.
But
obviously,
if
you want
you're
to win,
gonna
but
lose,
for the sake of your legacy of like how much you're contributing to your team, that potentially there's an argument to be made that's
if you're gonna lose, that's probably the best way to lose. Like you get the hat trick to even get your guys 2 PKs, and then he made his PK, and they go like it was such a wild game. It was 2-0, and then it went to 2-1 and 2-2 very fast.
Yeah, I mean, in the 78th minute, it was 2-0.
Yeah, and then just bang, bang. I was like, okay. And then Argentina scored 3-2, and then at the very end, finally, France scores again 3-3, then PKs. It was wild. I mean, like it was, like people were saying, is probably the best soccer game to watch, and I believe it. Like that was so much fun to watch. Oh, real quick, I saw somewhere earlier, and then me and DCA and Ty were talking about it. What were the best draft classes specifically for a team, and we brought it down to 2. And so the first one is the 2014 Raiders. Round 1, pick 5, Khalil Mack. Round 2, pick 36, Derek Carr. Round 3, pick 81, Gabe Jackson. So I know only one of those guys is on this team now, but during like at that time, that was one of the best draft classes for a team ever. And the second one, in 2012, the 2012 Seahawks, round 1, pick 15, Bruce Irvin. Round 2, pick 47, Bobby Wagner. Round 3, pick 75, Russell Wilson. Like those 2 draft classes got 3 starters, bang, 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 back to back to back, and like killed it. And I wish we see something like that soon for like the Raiders again. Something just a banger pick like that.
Imagine.
Just imagine drafting well.
I think in recent history, 2004 is probably one of the best, strongest draft classes.
Yeah.
QB wise, you had Eli, Big Ben, Phillip Rivers.
Yeah.
I think that first round you also had Larry Fitz. like Vince Wilfork. I'm pretty sure it was that year. There were some boys in there. So yeah, you had three like franchise quarterbacks in the first round, which is pretty rare. Even years that we think like, oh, this is a good QB class, like 2 years ago.
Yeah,
like, look at that draft class. How like between Justin Fields, Mac Jones, Trevor Lawrence, and Zach Wilson and Davis Mills, how many of those 5
are gonna be Hall of Fame?
do you think? Well, or even just franchise
or just franchise quarterbacks. Yeah,
like how many of those guys are gonna have played 10, 15 years on the same team?
Exactly.
I think it's hard. It's I mean, you obviously can't really help it. Also, that's a good question. Is out of that draft class with Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Mac Jones, Zach Wilson, and Davis Mills, who do you think is most likely to be the franchise guy for their team? Like that, to have that 10 plus year or to be there for 10 plus years and be the face of the franchise for the long haul.
I'll give you 2 answers. I'll give who I want it to be and who I think it's going to be. Who I want it to be is Trey Lance. That's who I really want to.
Oh, I forgot. I didn't even say Trey Lance. I skipped over
I thought
him.
You did. My bad.
I don't know. I forgot about that, man.
But I would want it to be Trey Lance because I feel like in that system he could do really good, and if he is given the chance to play really well, who I think it's going to be, I think it's going to be Trevor Lawrence is going to be the franchise guy, and he's going to be there for a long time. Because it's hard because like Mac Jones, like he was. Like, people were talking about Zappy being the guy, like, 2 weeks ago. Being like, oh, Max, like, lost it. Put Zappy in. Trevor Lawrence is, like, the only one of these guys who hasn't had, like, like the doubts yet. Or I guess last year, Trevor Lawrence didn't do that well. But, like, he hasn't been taken out for someone else yet.
Yeah, I'd say...
or Justin Fields. Justin Fields has been playing pretty well, too.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know. I'm inclined to not necessarily buy into Trey Lance being the long-term guy.
Yeah,
I think that at the end of last year, I would have said Mac Jones probably. There's a lot more question marks around Mac Jones lately. He's not been having quite as good of a season, but I think that the 2 that I would say are most likely out of that draft class to be franchise guys is is the 2 I'd say most likely are Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields. But Justin Fields, I'm not sure if I just have like a little bit of a recency bias of like, because he started the first half of the year.
Yeah.
He was not like he was playing straight. It was straight bad football the first the first 6 maybe 7 weeks of this year. But lately he's like playing really well and looks like he actually could be the future in Chicago. And like they look like 2 years from now they could be like real competitors.
Yeah, 100%.
And he's on pace to potentially get break Lamar's record for most rushing yards.
If you really think about Jalen Hurts, he didn't come out. He wasn't like his rookie year. Everyone was like, "This dude's insane." It's like he had the same thing, and now Jalen Hurts is like he might win MVP this year. So like these dudes just do need a year or two, and it's really interesting because like how we always talk about, and DCA always talks about rookie quarterbacks aren't given the chance, like or aren't given that many chances anymore, right? If you don't fit the scheme to like fast enough, then you're gonna be pulled out and switched out. And talking about like the quarterbacks in draft classes, what I just thought about, isn't it really interesting how in that 1 year the Chargers had 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks like in their hands. They had Phillip Rivers on the roster, or they had Drew Brees on the roster. They drafted Eli. Eli said no. They traded Eli to the Giants for Phillip. And then they traded Drew Brees out to the Saints.
Was Drew Brees still on the roster at that point?
Yeah, I think so.
I'd push back and say, are those 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks?
Well, I don't know.
Is that another question?
I want to know which one you're talking about. Or all you.
Those are 3 that are not everybody would consensusly say are Hall of Fame. I think none of those people would all agree are Hall of Fame.
That's what I was going to say.
Phillip is the one people would least. Phillip is one that,
especially with no Super Bowl wins. Yeah, people are gonna attack Phillip.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see a world in which he's first ballot.
No, I think he'll make it, but he's not gonna be first ballot. It just hurts because that like
I don't. It's tough when you have guys like that are really good and are stick around on the same team or the face of a franchise for so long that you want to say they're a Hall of Famer, but I don't know. I don't know what his stats are offhand, but he's probably one day.
Because those three guys, I think you're right. There is no, I don't think anybody would agree on one guy that make it. Maybe, I don't know. I feel like I think people like Drew over Eli too. Also, like I think, but I don't know. Eli did beat Brady twice in the Super Bowl.
What are you saying? Out of
which out of the three do you think consensus people would agree on more that they like?
Of who should be in the Hall of Fame between Eli,
Drew,
Brees,
and Phillip? Yeah.
Drew Brees by 1,000 miles.
You think so?
No disrespect to Eli, Drew Brees by the length of the world.
I think it's close.
I mean, Eli does have more rings than me. I'll give him that. Yeah. But Drew Brees is. I don't know. I tend to think he's like very much one of the best quarterbacks. Potentially the most accurate quarterback ever to throw the football.
I can't even be like, at the end of his year, like he couldn't throw as far because Eli wasn't cooking at the end of his career either. Eli ended his career at 500.
Well, and Drew Brees was never like
the big arm guy.
Yeah, he was never like your Patrick Mahomes drop back and sling it or make like these crazy. Like he was just like always put the ball where it needs to be. It's kind of his thing. And then the Saints went from him to a 30 for 30. 30 for 30 Jameis Winston just a little bit later.
And guess what? I love Jameis Winston.
No, you got to respect someone that's numb to the pick.
You have to. He just wants to go play ball. It is also, I feel like, a type of thing where those are the quarterbacks we grew up on. So I look at those guys like I'm cheesing. Those guys are like, I always remember Drew, Eli, Phillip, Big Ben, guys like that. Even like Peyton and stuff like that.
I think talking about Trevor Lawrence, I think that another potential takeaway from the last couple weeks of NFL is how bad of a coach Urban Meyer probably was. Because Trevor Lawrence has looked really, really good. Yeah. Like, I mean, pulling off that win against the Cowboys, but like the team just looks a lot better. Obviously, I think they're 6-8. They're not like a playoff team.
I would say the team just looks happier, you know?
Yeah, it's just the vibe is all around better.
They look like they're just actually like they're like want to play football.
Because that's something that going into this year I was curious to see, just because like all of the stuff that came out during the offseason about like Urban Meyer just seemed like he was just all around not doing a great job in Jacksonville. And so to see Trevor Lawrence have, but I mean, not even necessarily like the goats of coaching, but like a coaching staff that's not going to hold him back as much. It is really interesting to see how good Trevor Lawrence has been looking these last few weeks. Yeah, in particular, now that he's kind of grown comfortable with this new system and is far removed from the whole Urban Meyer situation.
I get that they don't even have a winning record right now, but Doug Peterson is doing, I would say, a pretty good job of at least coming and fixing the dumpster fire. Like, this is a great starting point, at least. Like, after last season and all that, like, this is like at least you're moving forward. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because that's the thing is
it's hard to lift a team up from like the dumps. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to lift a team that had all that going on, had all that like the record, the games they lost by so few points during that year and stuff too. It's hard to come in and like get these guys to want to play football, and Doug Peterson's doing a great job.
Well, and pre Trevor Lawrence, pre Urban Meyer, they went 1-15, and then with Trevor Lawrence and Urban Meyer, they went 3-14. This year, Trevor Lawrence, Urban Meyer's gone. You've got Doug Peterson, and they're 6-8 currently. So it's not with a franchise that was so bad for the amount of time that the Jaguars were. You're just not gonna flip it around right away. Yeah. But to go from 3 wins to now they're 6-8, potential. I mean, they've got a lot of momentum. I could see them finishing with like 7, 8, maybe even 9 wins. So it's a sign that I think Trevor Lawrence. I mean, like he didn't. It seems like people weren't that focused on him as a rookie just because he's like, I don't know, just because the Jaguars were doing so poorly. But but he's actually does have the talent that it's like, okay, maybe he did deserve to be the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, I'm glad that, because I liked Trevor Lawrence coming out. I was excited to watch him play, and I hope that they continue to build around him and get him like solidify that offensive line. They went out. People criticized like the money they spent on like some of these wide receivers and stuff, but they were doing great. Like yesterday, they were like the team looked like they were fighting with a team that we like. At least I can't remember which one of us. Like I put it in my top 5 power rankings, or maybe it was you. It was one of us. Like that
Cowboys.
Yeah, the Cowboys. Like the Cowboys are supposed to be like one of the better teams in the league, and the Jags were out there fighting to the very end, and that pick six wins the game in overtime.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, and looking back at the Christian Kirk signing that was so heavily criticized for how much money it was.
And I'll still criticize it. I still think it was wild.
Yeah.
The money.
Yeah, I think the amount of money was wild. The good thing is that with a young quarterback like Trevor Lawrence, I think you want to see that.
Yeah.
Like you want to see a big signing. This is going to be our wide receiver one. Because that's something that like if you're a quarterback and you're like really in a situation like I don't know, like what Green Bay is in right now, where going to the Sierras, like who even like
who even know? Yeah.
That it's good. It's good to. There's something to be said for throwing a lot of money at one receiver and being like, okay, you're gonna have this guy, Trevor. We signed this guy to 4 years. You've got him for at least the remainder of your contract.
Yeah,
Cook with him.
I still think. Lost my train of thought. That's wild. Okay, I still think that like them going out and signing Christian Kirk to that much money. I like in my head there's no way it was just like, oh, he's like one of the biggest guys' names out there. Just throw money at him. They obviously really liked Christian Kirk, and they really were like, this guy's gonna do perfect for our scheme. And even though I wouldn't agree with giving Christian Kirk that money, if there's a guy in free agency or a guy that you're like, we need this guy, and this guy will do great for our scheme, like go throw money at him. If you think you need a guy like this, personally, I wouldn't throw money like that. But like if you think like this guy will like this guy fits our scheme well, then Cook, man, like do what you need, or go Moneyball on him.
Yeah.
Just buy runs. I was in my head while we're talking about how bad the Jags were last year. I was like, do you think we'll ever see an 0-17 team? But then I was like, well, the Browns went 0-16 like 4 years ago. Like it's not been that long since the team's been 0-16. It was like 2017. The Browns won 0 games, and that's so absurd to me that they didn't win a single game. But oh no, I feel like now of 17 games, I don't think there's no way a team doesn't pick up one. They can't be.
I think teams can be really bad. Yeah, I think absolutely a team will go 0-17 sometimes.
That's so
teams
wild.
can be fundamentally to their core just a bad football team. That has happened many times. That's what the Browns were.
I was watching the Texans about it. I said, "Oh yeah." Actually, let me ask you a question real quick. They say that like 100 million people watch the Super Bowl every year. What % of those people do you think could name at random? If you said name me every team in the AFC West, do you think they could hit it? Like a random division? Know. Because we were asking some people. Oh, who was it? It was like me and Brandon Jones were asking, like trying to figure it out, and I was like, for me, it's really easy. I can go through all of them, but then we started asking people just around the house, like family members. I was like, oh, some people just don't be knowing, like a little bit. We like all grew up watching football. Can't tell me who's in the NFC South.
Yeah, but I don't. One of my pet peeves is the whole thing where like, and I'll see it in our comment section and other comment sections where they'll be like, oh, you're a casual. You're a casual fan. I think that's stupid.
Yeah.
I think there's some people that, they are casual. I don't think it's a bad thing.
No,
I'm a casual fan of FIFA World Cup.
Yeah.
I don't think it makes me.
Sorry.
I don't think it makes me a bad person. I'm just I don't live and breathe soccer.
No, I think there's definitely tiers to it. I don't like you just watch when your team's on Sundays, just watch that. You don't need to do anything else. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to like I think it's dumb. Like personally, I've had people like name every player, name you don't even know this guy's on your roster. I'm like, well, dude, sorry, I don't know the practice squad guys. Like, sorry, man. Like, and I've had friends of ours who throw at us names like, oh, you don't know about this guy? I'm like, why are you hitting me with the Vikings practice squad right now?
That's facts.
Like, I don't need to know him right now. Let me know when he pops off.
Okay, so I was looking at the list of semifinalists for the Football Hall of Fame this year. Yeah, so there's a list of 28 semifinalists for the Football Hall of Fame this year. 5 of those are first-time eligible players. So this was their first time being eligible for the Hall of Fame. And I'm going to read off their names, and you tell me whether or not you think they should be in the Hall of Fame. Joe Thomas.
Yeah, Joe Thomas could be a Hall of Famer. Yeah, I think so.
I think he should be in there too.
Browns legend, Joe Thomas.
Yeah, he's kind of as good as.
Yeah, that's as good as you can get.
The Browns didn't have much. But
no, that's as good as you can do.
Jari Evans.
Well, I mean, it's like the same thing. A great offensive lineman for his team. Sure, he can make it in. Another great guy.
It's just different with offensive linemen.
It's hard. Like
the stats. Like if you want to, like if someone wants to fact check that and be like, how could you say that he wants to get in here when he had like you can't?
Yeah, you can't.
Because there's like with a receiver you can be like, how can you say he should be in when he only had this many 1,000-yard seasons? But with you can say like how many Pro Bowls he had or whatever.
That's what I'm about
how many
to say.
All Pros he had.
Let's say like Pro Bowls is I don't know, but to me, Pro Bowls is a really good offensive lineman stat. I'm not gonna lie. It's like if you're consistently making as an offensive lineman, yeah, you're probably probably cooking, dude, because they will you will be off the rotation quick. The Raiders have had 15 combinations of O-line just this season. If you're not doing good, you're out of that rotation quick, and you're not going to be a Pro Bowler. So I would say, yeah, he makes it too.
Yeah, I guess Pro Bowls is one of the only things that if you want to be like, did this person have a good career? I guess looking at their Pro Bowls.
And he played
because if anybody, this is a PFF hate page.
No, we hate them.
Tell us the grade of an offensive lineman. Tell us their PFF grade. I dare you. You'll find out where the ban button is.
Yeah, send me all the PFF grades, and I'm gonna go mute.
I'll drop the ban hammer like kaboom.
I respect you more if you hit me with someone's like fantasy points that week. I'm like, oh, that's cool. He's cooking.
Like at least he's making his fantasy owners happy.
And also as offensive lineman, he played what, you said, just over a decade. Like, yeah, man. If you're an offensive lineman,
11 with the Saints, and then a little quickie with the Packers.
Yeah, if you're an offensive lineman and you're not cooking, you're not playing 11 years.
That's true. Yeah.
So I would say, yeah, he can make it too.
I'm saying that in order to be a semifinalist, you need to be like I'm gonna hear that and be like, oh yeah, he was good.
Yeah, it's a Hall of Fame. He's trying to get in the Hall of Fame. I'm like, yeah, that sounds great.
And then defensive end Dwight Freeney.
Oh, I've heard that name too much. I've heard Dwight Freeney as a Texan, a little baby Texan, many a time. So I'll say,
I think he might have killed.
He killed him not just once, twice, multiple occasions. Should I call DCA right now and ask him if he's if Dwight Freeney's a Hall of Famer? Let's ask. Should we call him?
Yeah, call DCA and say Dwight Freeney's a semifinalist, eligible for the first time. Should he be in the Hall of Fame?
That'd be a pray he answers. Please answer for the bid, DCA. We need you.
Yes.
Hey, just so you know, you're on the podcast right now. We're saying, is this guy a Hall of Famer or not? Right?
Say it again. Yes.
So he's a semifinalist. He's a semifinalist. Is Dwight Freeney a Hall of Famer?
100%.
I was like, oh, it's a little baby Texan.
You just take the numbers that he had against the Houston Texans Hall of Famer. You could eliminate every other game he ever played.
I was just gonna say, little baby Austin heard that name quite a few times.
Just the numbers he put up on DC are enough to be in the Hall of Fame.
I remember hearing sack Dwight Freeney. I was like, oh, there he is again.
Who else would it be? Robert Mathis, his buddy on the other side. Yeah, Dwight Freeney's definitely a Hall of Famer. Dwight. He did the NFL Network a couple times with me too. It was really awkward and fun.
That's good. Just the stats you put up on.
Yeah, just the stats you put on the Texans.
All right, and then next is Steelers linebacker James Harrison.
Oh no! Oh man!
I'm pretty sure was undrafted.
Yeah. Oh man. I think he'll for sure make it. I don't know if he'll be a first ballot, but I think he's gonna make it. He deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I'll say yeah.
I mean, if you watch the videos of him just when he's in the weight room lifting in the gray sweatpants and gray hoodie, you're like, yeah, he looks like a Hall of Famer.
I'm like, well, that's what started the for me, you got to wear hoodies and stuff in the gym. I was like, I don't want to be like that. I'll be like James. Yeah, I think he'll make it. He might not be a first ballot, but he'll make it.
And then this last one, there's probably a right answer, is Darrelle Revis.
Yeah, Revis Island's for sure gonna make it.
if you're a corner with a nickname like that,
Revis Island is also one of the coolest nicknames. So yeah, Darrelle Revis is for sure gonna make it.
And just put the man in the Hall of Fame.
They just lock him in. I think they can even I don't know if they do it. They might put on his plaque below it his little nickname if you want. It's kind of sick.
Instead of giving him a bust of just his head, make it a little island.
Yeah, a little island, and he's waving. Yeah.
Like that.
Think of just Darrelle Revis, that's a name that probably a majority of football fans know, and you know what specifically he's known for. This dude is an insane man corner, and his nickname is Revis Island. Put that man on an island. Yeah, he should be a first ballot. He's gonna make it.
Yeah, and then I was looking at that's just the guys that are first time eligible, but there's 23 other ones.
Yeah.
Of the 28 semifinalists for the Hall of Fame this year, just some that I would advocate for.
Okay.
One is Devin Hester.
Yeah.
If you pull up his receiving stats and look at him, they're not going to look like Hall of Fame stats.
Not going to blow you away.
And that's why he's not in the Hall of Fame yet. But a lot of people would say he's the best. A lot of people, and I'm probably one of them, would say that he's the best return specialist of all time.
I would 100% agree.
I mean, Cordarrelle Patterson has been breaking some of his records, but I mean,
dude, just watch. Like, if you just need a refresher, go watch some Devin Hester highlights. You'll remember how insane this guy was.
So I would say that even if his receiving stats aren't insane, if the man is the best ever, or even arguably the best ever at any position in the game of football, then he should be a Hall of Famer.
That's what like the Hall of Fame, like we've heard from DCA and from other guys, like other analysts or guys that even vote from it, like, how do you make the Hall of Fame if you're the best guy at your position for 1 or 2 more years at a time? And he is and was the best punt returner for multiple years. So yeah, he deserves to be in it.
Yeah,
I don't even call him a wide receiver. If you think Devin Hester and you think wide receiver, like, you got it wrong. I think Devin Hester, returner. He's a return man.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. That's what people say is like the criteria to be in the NFL is, were you the best at your position or one of the best at your position for a good chunk of time for a few years in a row. Yeah. And Devin Hester, whether you think he's the GOAT or not, he was undeniably the best returner for a lot of years in a row. Like, he was the guy.
He wasn't just a 1 year like, oh, that was really good. No, he was multiple years. It was like, Devin Hester is the guy.
Yeah, so I would say Devin Hester is one that I would put in there. Another guy that I would say should be in this year, who's a semifinalist, is Patrick Willis.
Yeah.
The reason why he's not in is because his career got cut pretty short. Was only, I think, 8 seasons long. Just had some injuries.
Yeah, he cut it short. He said, "I'm good." So,
yeah. He had some injuries and retired pretty young.
Yeah.
But so he only played 8 seasons, and that's going to be held against him. Of the 8 seasons he played, the last one he only played like 6 games, I think.
Yeah.
So really only played 7. The man was in the Pro Bowl 7 times.
Bro, from
the time he was a rookie until he was year injured. That he got hurt and then retired, he was a Pro Bowler.
Yes.
There's dudes that I don't care how long your career is. Yeah. 7 Pro Bowls is a Hall of Fame resume.
Oh yeah.
And it's the same thing as like the best at your position thing. He was like He was one of the best. He was one of the best linebackers in the league for his entire career,
and he's considered one of the best linebackers ever. Like, if he would have continued playing, he would have been even. Not if he would have continued, he's considered one of the best linebackers ever.
Yeah, and for that decade, during the decade of 2010, through his retirement, he was one of the best linebackers in football. I mean, that's what it means when you make the Pro Bowl every year.
That's what it means. If you're making it year after year after year for 7 years, I believe you should be in the Hall of Fame, no matter if you only played 7 years. And the man's that much of a GOAT where he just like kept getting hurt, and he was like, I'm good. I've shown the league what I need. I'm good now. Like, good, Pat.
Yeah, I get that he wasn't a first ballot because his career was short.
Yeah.
But if the man played for 7 years and made the Pro Bowl every year, that's pretty Hall of Fame worthy, I would say.
It will be criminal if Pat Willis goes as long as like Cliff Branch went without making it. Like, if Pat Willis doesn't make it for like 2, 3, 4, 5, it keeps going, something's wrong with the NFL and something's wrong with the voting system.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just, anybody that watched football during the 2010s knows Patrick Willis and knows that he was insane.
Yeah, put Vince Wilfork in. Where's my boy?
Yeah.
Lock him up. Vince Wilfork is like, that's what I grew up with. My dad was playing. I got to watch Vince, and with like Darren, who's a big defensive guy. He would tell me all about these big boy D tackles, and Vince Wilfork was the guy. He like solidified. That's why I love guys like Tyler Shelvin and stuff like that. It's he solidified that position like that, and now it's coming back now because teams are going back to that coverage now where you need like a big dude in the middle who can kind of block it all up. So you're gonna see more guys like Vince pop up, and Vince is like kind of like he's one of the biggest names and one of the biggest men . Like when I think of who is a big body I can put in the A gap and stop the run, Vince Wilfork's there.
Yeah, I think he
like he's not a guy that's going to get you sacks. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not his job.
He's there to take up two blockers.
He's there just to take up space and to make and like to be strong and to just hold you there. Like you're not gonna get in that dude's gap.
Yeah, that's something that I'm actually. It'll be really interesting to see what direction the NFL goes with that, because it kind of felt like he was kind of the last of a dying breed of those big D linemen, because everything's getting offensive and defensive line. I mean, defensive line, a lot of them are getting smaller and quicker. And as a result of that, offensive line is doing the same thing to keep up with them. Yeah. But I think we almost see that more right now with edge rushers. Yeah. And you potentially can have guys that are bigger. I mean, I think my ideal defensive line is the DTs are big bodies like Vince Wilfork, and then on the edge you have your Max Crosbys, you have your Aaron Donalds, who aren't like these big massive guys, but they are quick and they can get around. Yeah, but Vince is your definition of a nose tackle. Like he's just gonna be right in the middle and clog up space. He don't need him to run a 4.5. Well, it's like if I'm the halfback and Vince Wilfork is right there to my right, and the quarterback says we're going to hand it off right, I'm going to say no, we're not. Yeah. like if he says draw right, I'm going to go no. What if we don't? And Vince Wilfork, you don't want to run into that, right?
Because that's such also a big body where like even if you can get by him, you're going to hit him. Like it's going to slow you down. Mm-hmm. Like hitting that big of a guy, like, and he's so strong, he's going to make the A gap collapse on you. So you're going to have to figure out something else.
Yeah, and even if he's not the one making the play, it's like I said, taking up two blockers. Yeah, where it's like if the man's there and his purpose, that's something why like even Vince Wilfork's stats, I don't have any clue what his stats are off the top of my head.
But his stats aren't.
But I would guess his stats don't say the whole picture.
No, his stats aren't going to be like flash at you. It's because guys, they don't want to run it towards him. That's the plan. Like,
well, and it's the same thing as Aaron Donald. When people like the last 2 years, I'm like, oh, is Aaron Donald kind of fallen off a little bit? Like his stats aren't as good. I'm like, watch the film.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll see plays where there's three guys.
Even sometimes with
like every single play, there's two people on it.
Even sometimes with corners, you're like, oh, this guy doesn't have that many interceptions. I'm like, you don't get it because they're not throwing at him. Like, yeah, like these dudes, like if you're a good corner, I really shouldn't hear your name that much, because it's like, oh, they're never throwing over there.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, this guy's only had 2 pass breakups the whole season. I'm like, well, the ball's only been thrown to him like 5 times the whole season.
It's like, oh, he's only had 2 passes. Well, he's only thrown to it twice. The 2 times it came to him, he knocked it out. Yeah. It's just guys like Jalen Ramsey stuff. Like, yeah, you might not hear his name all the time, but it's just because he's clamps over there.
Yeah, and it's sometimes that's what you can. I mean, ideally, if you're on offense, you want to get the ball, but sometimes it's the same thing with a receiver. You just want to take up, draw that double team. When you're on defense, draw the double team, because there's 11 people on the field. If there's 2 on you, then there's somebody's open somewhere.
I mean, Bill Belichick knew what he was doing with Vince. I'll tell you that. Like he knew, he's like, this is like, he's not going to get these sacks. But if it comes to him, he'll make the tackle, or it's just going to make teams change up the game, and they're not going to do inside zone. It's going to go left or right. It's not going to go right at the big boy. Yeah. And I love it. I like the defenses are starting to bring like coverages back where guys are kind of off the ball now, and there's not that many guys towards the offensive line, so you're going to start to need those big bodies back, and we'll start to see them come back. So I'm excited. I'm ready. Bring back the big boys. It's like Fletcher Cox. He's great like that too. He's big. Or the guy, he got hurt for the Eagles they drafted this year. I wanted the Raiders to take him, but he went quick. Jordan Davis. That was it.
Oh yeah, Jordan Davis.
Yeah, Jordan Davis is big, and he's massive.
Well, and that's the same thing as Jordan Davis last year. Great lineman from Georgia. This year, Jalen Carter is a DT coming out of Georgia. Might go number 1 overall. Is for sure top 5. If he falls, then all the teams are idiots. I don't care what position you need. You take the man.
Hey, that's one of the ones where you go best player available.
Yeah, we
will make room.
Yeah, I don't remember what game it was. But
like when he picked him up,
where he just was like this. Yeah, I'm like,
he lifts the quarterback in the air and like shows him to the crowd.
Yeah, no, he got to the quarterback. Instead of tackling him, just goes like this. lifts him up like he's a supervillain or something, and goes like this. If you're a NFL scout at that game, you're I'm going, write that down.
That's what, dude. I've had Jordan Davis going really high, and he went really high because like teams see guys like that and they know, like when you see talent like that, you know the deal.
Yeah.
Because like, especially on the defensive line, you can tell when a guy's going to cook. Like Khalil, like everybody knew, oh yeah, that's a dude who's going to do damage. Clowney, like when Clowney went, we all knew the deal. Ball don't lie. Remember that play? That was one of the craziest things I've ever seen in my life.
No, if you ever look up just football highlights, if you type in football highlights, that play when he was at South Carolina against Michigan on the 4th and 1 or
football biggest hits, it's gonna be there. It's ball don't lie.
Oh yeah, top ball don't lie moments.
Yeah, with the ref giving the first down.
And it'll be them saying first down and then Jadeveon Clowney killing the running back the next play.
How can you not be romantic about baseball? It's a Moneyball quote of the day.
Good. There you go. How can you not be romantic about baseball?
How you not be romantic about baseball?
MLB free agency is in full swing. A lot of the big names that people were waiting for have already signed. Aaron Judge back to the Yankees, which I was surprised by. I thought he was coming to San Francisco.
Yeah, that's good though for the boys.
But yeah, he's staying in the AL. I'm fine with that.
He's thinking away,
I'm a Dodgers fan. I'm like, we'll play him in the World Series. Just kidding. We're gonna be first round exits probably. But
there's some heartbreak though in Dodgers fans, at least in my family.
Yeah, what JT?
Yeah.
I thought Justin Turner. I don't know. I really wish we would have found a way to.
And my family's fighting for him to be in the rafters too, and they said no.
Well, the rafters,
like his body,
the
carbonite.
Yeah, it is interesting that the Dodgers, because there's a Justin Turner Day in LA. That's a real thing. It's like a holiday. Like Justin Turner, he's not going to be like Hall of Famer or anything.
Yeah,
but he's over the past decade has been like an incredibly big role for the Dodgers. So I am bummed to see him go. But yeah, I mean, the man had a lot of like clutch playoff moments and was very loved and everything. The Dodgers have a rule regarding the Dodgers actually have a rule regarding the retiring of numbers, that it's not just arbitrary like how some teams have it, is that they have to be in the Hall of Fame as a Dodger to get their number retired, which makes sense to me because it's like, at least then you have something to where you can't, otherwise there's people arguing for like this person, that person, so then you at least have a hard set rule. But I don't know, there's some players where I'm like, their stats aren't going to get them in the Hall of Fame.
If I owned an organization, a lot of the fan favorites would be up there.
Well,
I mean, we might not cook, but like here, like we love this guy.
Well, that's when you talk about fan favorites, is people have always argued about whether or not 34 should be retired for Fernando Valenzuela on the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Because his numbers, he's not a Hall of Famer. He won't get in the Hall of Fame. But he's like one of the most beloved players by the fans, and like he was a great pitcher, but also like incredibly important cultural icon as well.
Yeah.
That he was, I mean, straight up, like that was during a time where like there was a lot of tension between Los Angeles and like the Latino community. And then Fernando Valenzuela started cooking, and that that's part of why now you go to a Dodgers game, it's like, it's like going to be like 60-70% Latino.
It helped heal like community a little bit.
Yeah, because there was a broken relationship between the Dodgers, and Fernando Valenzuela was important, between the Dodgers and LA's Latino community, and that was like Fernando Valenzuela is part of what mended that.
For sure,
which makes sense because the man was cooking. I'd go watch him throw a screwball.
Yeah, and if you don't we don't want to put him in the rafters, you got to have like at least like a room or something where it's like, here are the fan favorites. Like, gotta have
I'm sure they have statues and stuff all over of him, but I don't know.
I mean, I know it happened earlier in the
Justin
year.
Turner something.
Yeah, exactly.
At least let him sign a little one day when he's done.
Oh yeah,
He'll be done soon. He's on a 2-year deal. I don't think he'll play past that.
Yeah. I know it happened earlier in the year, but still, my family was very excited for Max Muncy to sign the 1-year deal, and they're cheesing. My DC8 has a shirt that says "Go get it out the ocean." It's still one of the hardest sports courts ever, though.
Max Muncy having like one of the lowest batting averages in the league, but one of the like highest walk rates. Like his on base percentage was double his batting average. Like, man, just get walk.
That's a Moneyball. That's just
discipline.
That's a Moneyball stat.
He got on base.
He gets on base. How many bases do we need to buy?
As a Dodgers fan, seeing Justin Turner play somewhere else, the one upside is that one of my favorite Dodgers ever is currently a Red Sox. A Red Sox? Red Sox? What's the singular of Red Sox?
I think he's currently a Red Sox.
Red Sox.
Yeah.
Is a Red Sox is Kike Hernandez. And so, they're going to be reunited in Boston, be teammates, and they'll make lots of good memories together. Yeah. Be so sad.
Who do you think is the most loved player on the Dodgers right now? Mookie or Kershaw?
Kershaw.
Yeah. I like Mookie, though. Cooper, our boy Cooper, plays Call of Duty with Mookie. Cool. Why isn't he on the podcast, Coop? Help us.
Why isn't Coop on the podcast?
Yeah, why isn't Coop here?
I'm sit crisscross applesauce right here.
Let's play a little game. Start bench cut again, but this time it's going to be sporting events. Because everyone's talking. This is where the most heat comes at the NFL, is when soccer fans go like, only 100 million watch your game, or what, 40 billion watch Stars. Watch Stars. But so start.
Dude, also, people throw like Americans take a lot of guff for being like, we're like arrogant or annoying or whatever. Yeah. But when it's World Cup time or anything involving the world of soccer/football, like Americans catch so many strays for no reason.
Yeah, why? Why are we being attacked?
Poor Ocho Cinco was just getting torn apart.
Yeah, bro.
He'd just be trying to talk about the game, and they just start roasting.
And they're like, "Why do you call it soccer?" I'm like, "Dude, we already have a football. I'm sorry. If we didn't have a football, we would probably call it football."
Yeah, I agree, it should be football, but we have another football.
We have a football, and I like watching it more.
Like, it does make more sense that soccer would be football than that American football would be football. Yeah. It is what it is, and I'll call it what I call it because it's where I live.
Sorry, I'm not gonna go. Did you watch football or football today?
But yeah, it's wild. All those strays that Americans catch if you go on social media.
Ocho Cinco did not deserve what happened to him.
No. When people just randomly...
He just said, I think I'm faster. And they're really? I'm like, what? He can't like hype up himself up?
Or the other one was when Ocho Cinco was talking about Mexico, and he used the term, he used the word we, and then they said, why are you saying we when you talk about Mexico? He's like, we, because they're like, what? She kept saying, why do you say we? And he's like, because I'm 60% Mexican.
Yeah, dude.
The best was when someone said his last name's literally Ocho Cinco. They said he has a Spanish last name. Fair enough. People will just be like, I don't know, if an American says anything online about the World Cup, you have to have the perfect opinion, because if you say anything at all controversial, they'll say like, stick to your stupid stick to your stupid handball sports or whatever. Or like, this is why you Americans don't know anything about the World Cup. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, that's like being the whole casual fan thing. It's like, I'll first admit it. Like, yeah.
Like, no, I get it. Like, I don't.
Like, yeah, I don't really. Do I think that my opinion on whether or not Messi's the GOAT is like the most important opinion? No, but based on what I've seen, does he look good?
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, I would say. Let me throw my hat in the ring and say he looks good. That's, I think, what soccer fans don't get is I do think soccer would be bigger in the U.S. I'm not gonna say if like our athletes like didn't play in the NFL or like stuff like that, because I get like that too. Where like our children, our kids are more focused, like they want to play in the NFL, not really as excited to play in like the MLS and stuff. But I think one of the biggest things about soccer that I like over there is like every city has a team. If Bakersfield was playing Taft, we've talked about it before, that would get me hyped up. Like, if it's like, you can't really root for your home team. It's kind of like you root for Los Angeles, New York. If I saw, Bakersfield's playing Tehachapi, I'd be like, okay, let's go. The boys are excited.
You mean because they have like there's clubs everywhere, they're just very levels? Yeah,
exactly.
But it's weird because they're like also... They're different levels, but they can move levels.
Yeah, and they can move up. They can move up divisions.
Did I know that before I watched Ted Lasso? I don't know. You decide for yourself.
I'm like, we're fighting for promotion here?
I was like, we need... What do they call it? Relegation?
Yeah.
I learned that just from Ted Lasso. Never knew that was a thing, but I won it in the NFL. Yeah. We need relegation in the NFL where we can look at a team and be like, if the Texans keep playing bad, we're getting rid of them. I don't know who we would bring up to replace them.
No, you don't even bring anybody.
We'd say, bring up Georgia.
No, I don't even think you need to bring up anybody. We just say they're gone. No one's here.
They're like,
there's no one here.
Okay, 29 teams. The AFC South has 3. It's fine. It's fine. At least the Texans are gone.
Yeah, now introducing the CFL or something. The CFC.
Although they might bring up like an XFL team. They just, like the LA Wildcats, get in here.
What is confusing to me sometimes though, when I think of like American soccer and like MLS, like we call it soccer over here, but some of the teams are named FC at the end. I'm like, what are we doing? Stick with the program. Like, why are we called football club? Mm-hmm. We call it soccer.
LAFC.
Yeah, that's all. I'm like, guys, stick with the program. And guess what? Maybe I won't think about how Argentina is going to do, but when they're in LA in 4 years, I'll stop by. I'll have a visit. I'll be at a game. I'll see what happens.
What percent of the U.S. population do you think pretends like they've seen It's a Wonderful Life?
I've seen it. Now you have to think for yourself. Have I seen it?
Or you're one of the ones pretending?
Or if I'm one of the ones pretending.
Well,
the thing is, because I think a lot of people haven't seen but know the premise.
I don't think I know anything. I know it's in black and white, and that's enough.
I know that it means I'm young, but sometimes someone's like, watch this movie. By the way, it's in French, only subtitles, black and white. I go, I get it could be the greatest thing I ever watched, but I'm going to watch probably Practical Jokers right now.
I'm like, what if I go to the old reliable rotation of The Office, Parks and Rec, and New Girl for just like the 10th time? Just watch one of those.
Well, but sometimes, real life, sometimes someone will be like, watch this movie. It's really good. It's kind of sad. And I'll go to watch it and I'll be like, I kind of want to laugh right now.
No, it takes a lot of me to watch a serious movie.
Like, I kind of want to
It takes a lot for me to...
Like, you're right. I just be saying, I kind of want to giggle. Like, what if I giggle right now?
Yeah, because there'll be shows that I, like, stop watching, not because they got bad, but just because I'm like, this is heavy.
I deleted my sad playlist because I found myself going to it too much, and it made me sad. That's real life.
Remember the Saints versus Rams game a few years back where they didn't call the pass interference? Mm-hmm. There was the no PI call.
Yeah.
Well, obviously everybody knows that like, I was thinking about the other day, or what I was thinking about the other day is that everybody knows it, kept the Saints from going to the Super Bowl or whatever. Mm-hmm. It also robbed us of, outside of just, the Saints getting to go to the Super Bowl, it also robbed us of one of the potentially coolest, like, it robbed us of an iconic quarterback matchup of Drew Brees versus Tom Brady.
Yeah, no, that's pretty.
Because that was Pat's Rams. Instead, we got the stinky Pats Rams Super Bowl. And that wasn't a very good Super Bowl.
But some people are like, this is what football should look like. This is what the Super Bowl should be. I'm like, yeah, but it's boring. It's like these are really good teams going against each other. It's gonna be low scoring. I'm like, but it's boring.
Yeah, I would have hot take. I would have rather see Drew Brees versus Tom Brady in the Super Bowl.
I think I'd rather have a shootout. You know what I'm saying?
Get Drew another Super Bowl.
I think 9 times out of 10, I'd rather have a shootout while watching a Super Bowl. Like, I want it to be high scoring. Just go, go, go. My top 3 favorite Christmas movies. Number 3, Jingle All the Way with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Number 2, Elf. Number 1, oh man, I really like Polar Express. A Christmas Story, I think. But also, I really like Polar Express, and I really like The Grinch. And I really like the animated
what about
not Nightmare Before Christmas with Jim Carrey also, where he's Scrooge.
Oh,
and that one's like really scary.
What if I hit you with Muppets Christmas? What would you do?
That's your favorite Christmas movie?
No, but Muppets Christmas is great.
Muppets Christmas is really good.
You're Sleeping on Lampoons?
Oh, that's a great one too, but that one makes you giggle.